This is Kate Baconsale. You're listening to Baconsale.
10 knives in your back. 10 knives in your back. Spiders crawling up and down your back. Snakes slithering up and down your back. Tight squeeze. Cool breeze. Now it's time for Baconsale.
Woo!
Yay! I want to apologize first of all.
What? Why?
Because can't you actually... I didn't realize this until like a little too late, but you did kind of that intro back on episode 80, The Pyramid Part 2.
Yeah, Kent and I were actually really upset about that.
Remembers that?
I did, because I was doing it, and I was like, I remember Kent doing a different version of this, because your version was a little different than mine.
Yeah, because you get the
better, is
chills
that
at
what you
the end
said?
of mine.
I did.
Some people get the
we changed-
heebie-jeebies.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get the chills as well.
Yeah, I got the chills from that.
No apologies, because I've replicated so many of my own intros. So
It's
sorry.
going to happen.
Mine
Sorry
are
to
always
you, the
original
listener.
and never
happen.
borrowed from anyone else.
Sure. Well, that's true. Everyone is unique.
Do the Taco
like a
Bell one
broken
again.
snowflake.
That's true.
Welcome to Baconsale. I am Joel.
I'm Kent.
And Jacob.
We'd like to thank you for
I
listening.
am Joel.
No, you're not. You're Jacob.
Oh, so I am
Joel.
Jacob.
We'd like to thank you for listening to our Witches show that we had last time. Or Witches show.
Yeah,
that we had last time.
toil and trouble.
We got a lot of support, a lot of fun, a lot of comments. People enjoyed the show, and there was one comment I want to bring up here from Cruho Dutler. I got a picture of Cujo there.
Was it Crujo?
Crujo. I was doing a Spanish accent. Crujo Dutler. He said, "This is what I love about." He's talking about the witch episode. This is what I love about Baconsale. I learned valuable info about how to repel witches. Now I know that the horseshoe over my door needs to point up so I can fill the U with ketchup.
Yeah, I think that's
That
Yeah,
would
that's a good takeaway. Yeah.
If you've learned anything from Baconsale this year, let that be it.
put the horseshoes above your doors up so you can fill them with
Smeared in ketchup.
Yes. Yeah.
So speaking of Crujo, I would actually like to thank him and many other people who have supported the show this past week. It's been a week.
It has been.
And honestly, thank you everyone for supporting us and just your willingness, your kind shout outs, your responses to
we
us.
really did appreciate it. Thank you. And do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And so like whether you just reached out to any of us personally or Patreon, like it's been overwhelming for all of us here.
Yeah.
So I will start with Crew Dutler himself. He went from $3, that's tier 3, to $25, a listener category. We have Crew Dutler joining the ranks.
He's now in the listener category. Gets so many more.
Are we
perks.
going to count how many kissograms you were sent this week? Or is that a separate list?
7.
Oh, gosh, I thought it was in the 20s.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to over embellish on that one.
Okay.
7.
Okay.
Joining him, and every one of these people have joined the listener category, actually.
Wow.
So we have from $13, tier 1, to $25, Sean Sandquist.
Thank you, Sean.
Thanks, Sean.
Sean, you rock. Thank you so much. Also, from $13, tier 1, to $25 listener, Braden Winterton.
Thank you, Braden.
What a rock star.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Also,
That's a strong name.
I don't know if you guys have...
Tier 1 name is what you're saying?
Winterton.
I don't know if you've heard of this guy, but his name is Spencer Larson. He schooled us once in a quiz show.
Did he? Or did he cheat his way to win?
He cheated, but at the same time, he had the fastest finger.
He was.
He did have a very fast.
He is, if you don't know, he is the listener with the capital L.
The
listener.
We should make him a t-shirt. And so he went from $8 tier 2.
He'll get one if he's a patron, if he's a $25 patron.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
So
true.
$25 listener, Spencer Larson, thank you. And we had new patrons as well. Once again, overwhelming. We can't thank you guys enough.
Thank you so much.
So we have Eva Marie Pearson. She is an $8 tier 2 patron.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank
Eva.
You, Marie.
We've got some
We're glad
fun,
you're here.
very fun content coming your way. Also,
we do.
Those two patrons, they get video reviews.
yes, absolutely. So, and also we have 2 joining the tier 1 category. That's $13. Casey Davies. Casey Davies, she's made me some shirts in the past. They've kind of made me laugh, especially with the timing. I appreciate you personally so much. We love you so much.
Yes. And I was going to say, the tier 1 fans, they get uncut versions of Baconsale episodes when we release
Yeah,
those.
behind the bacon. And joining her is Matches Malone. I love that name, Matches Malone.
Mysterious.
Another person joining the listener category, $25, Infendo Radio Steve Peacock. Steve has been a friend for years. And
Definitely the name his mother gave him.
Yeah, Steve Peacock. Infendo Radio is the podcast. Go check it out. All things Nintendo. It's awesome. So, honestly, thank you. This week's been rough, and you guys have been very brave for supporting us. And yeah, we can't thank you enough.
And
And
even- I
we
was gonna
can't wait
say-
to see you guys around, honestly.
And not necessarily, I was going to say, not even necessarily if you've donated to Patreon. We love you for that. But even those who just reached out, thank you sincerely. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah, I can't even describe it.
And speaking of, you mentioned see you around. Speaking of seeing you around, we are going to once again do our Quick Wits Baconsale night.
Yeah!
Or is it Baconsale Quick Wits night?
Can
I
we
think that's
officially call this an annual thing, like the second annual improv night? Okay.
That seems right.
call
That
it
feels right.
Yeah.
I was going to say, we had such a fun time last year with you guys, last November, actually, doing a night where we all get together. You get to come see Quick Wits show. You know, they perform every Saturday night in Midville, as you know.
If you want to find me,
No, we're not doing that.
Oh, is it over?
Not yet.
Yeah.
But so there's that. And so we're going to do it again. Save the date for November 16th, Saturday, November 16th. Well, more details will be coming forward, but we just want to let you know, give you as much notice as possible, as this is our last full show that will air.
But we'll definitely
in
have
October.
some incentives to help you go, Baconsale listeners.
absolutely.
Yes.
And we packed the house last time, so just be ready. Show up. You know?
Yeah.
I can't wait to see
It was
you.
actually really cool. I mean, we had a big group picture last time. We
Yeah.
got to shake hands, and honestly,
Yeah, so
it's
show
gonna
up.
be, it's gonna
Nobody
be a lot
leave
of fun.
because some people left right after the show. We're like, picture,
did.
and some people already left. But
Yep.
I can't wait to do this again. Last
gonna be
year's
fun.
show, I haven't been to see your show since then, Joel. And I'm really sorry, but it's hilarious.
Yeah. So November 16th, Saturday, November 16th, Quick Wits, Baconsale Quick Wits night, or Quick Wits Baconsale
And more
night.
details to come over the next few weeks and on social media as well.
Yep.
To look forward to that. But that's not what we're talking about today. What are we talking about today, Jacob?
The terrible tens. What was it I said before?
Decade dance.
The decade dance.
Nobody knows what that means.
No,
I don't know if that has any context
Inside joke
whatsoever.
now. So we're going to talk about we're going to discuss the horror films.
Yes, this is our final, as we said, this is our final full episode of the Halloween season, which we love, and we want to kind of end big. And so Kent had this idea, and you want to do a couple more of these shows, right?
I do, and we'll see how this one pans out. Maybe this will be the last one, but I don't know if people knew this, but we're reaching the end of the decade very, very soon. I mean, it sounds weird because it's almost 2020, and that seems like
soon.
the appropriate end. But the official end of the decade happens at the end of December, and so I want to go back, and I do this anyways. I make lists just in my spare time.
It is soon. It's crazy to think the decade's ending.
We may cover action movies or drama, or it's up to you. I want to start this show with the best horror films of the last decade.
So 10 for 10?
Yes,
Is this
10
the
for
idea?
10.
All right, 10 for 10. That's going to be cool.
We might have to call the show 10 for 10, like 30 for 30. It's a sports reference.
This is true.
Yeah.
Sport reference.
So sometimes there's a ball.
Anybody?
Okay, yep.
Sometimes like there's like a puck thing.
Whatever,
It's like a
jazz
coaster.
game, man.
Can I tell you, by the way, can I tell you, by the way, that when you said the best 10 movies from the last decade, I was like, 10 movies from the last decade? Like,
Just can't even like 10 movies in the last decade?
I was like,
That's really the
one a
question.
year.
what modern classics are there in 10 years?
For
And then-
horror, is that
for
what you're saying?
horror, yeah.
Mhm.
And I was like, what could there possibly... Oh, that one's good. Oh, I like that one too.
Yeah.
And I had to do the thing where I had to start cutting out ones that I actually like to make my list of 10, and it wasn't easy.
You had to kill your darlings. Is that what you're
I
saying?
did have to kill some of my
great.
darlings.
Ooh, I can't wait to hear about those darlings.
So we're going to give these recommendations to you, and these are not necessarily all Baconsale approved, but at least Kent or Joel approved.
Yeah, we didn't run these lists by each other, so
We
yeah,
do have
they're
that
gonna
list on
differ a little
Patreon,
bit.
though,
It'd be
of
kinda
Bacon
similar.
Sale approved movies.
And
Yes.
Horror
these movies may have to be added to that.
So let's go from worst to first, but
Worst
none of
to
these
first.
are that bad.
Yeah, these are our top 10, keep in mind. Well, in
Who's
fact, we
starting?
do have some honorable mentions. I have some ones that I could bring up that are bad, but I can't, since this is your idea, why don't you
yeah,
go first?
Let's do it.
10 is always my hardest one because it's the last one to make the list, except for honorable mentions. And so I have to make sure it's kind of divisive. And if I really like it or not, I could... man, I'm just going to go with it. It's Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
I know that one.
Yeah.
As you should. Jake, have you seen this one?
I have. It's great.
So this one is from 2010. I will give the plot synopsis.
Please do.
Affable hillbillies Tucker and Dale are on vacation at their dilapidated mountain cabin when they are mistaken for murderers by a group of preppy college students. So this one stars Alan Tudyk, Tyler Labine, and this one came out right at the beginning of this decade.
Yeah.
And just as the description says, these guys are total rednecks. They're stereotypical, campy. Even this is a straight-out horror comedy.
Yes.
Comedy first, not really scary, but there's some blood and guts
Yes,
that will
there
really
is.
thrill you.
Yes, there is.
Are people thrilled by blood and guts? Because I feel like in this movie they should be.
I think so.
My mom always said people were.
She's so sweet, that woman. But yeah, so this one is, there's a bunch of preppy college students, as it says, and these preppy college students see these rednecks in the woods as, they're going to kill us. Like, what are we going to do? And these rednecks have no idea what's going on, but death seems to happen everywhere around them, where they could easily be blamed for being slashers in a horror film.
Right.
But they're total accidents. They even accidentally kidnap one of the women, and she becomes like the lead character.
Accidentally kidnapped. They save the woman.
But
But her
everyone
friends
sees
think
it
that
as
she's getting
a kidnapping.
Yeah.
But this one is an absolute joy.
It is. It really is. And you see, like, there's like these horrific deaths, and it shocks the characters just as much as the viewers. It's
does.
like, oh no, 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 you know.
But
it's like the worst, horror death ever.
And I will say, if you plan on watching this one, don't watch the trailer, because
Yes.
this is one where the trailer basically shows all the deaths.
Oh, it does?
It really does. Like I went into the movie going, oh yeah, I've seen all these, and then so don't watch the trailer. Just know that it's a hilarious horror comedy.
Yeah. And
I'll give this one a Baconsale approval. Kate.
Yeah. I mean, the premise is so simple and, like, honestly should be like a 30-minute short. But these two leads, like Tyler Labine and, of course, Alan Tudyk, who is amazing, they sell it. And, like, even though they're playing these character
Alan
types...
Tudyk being Wash from Firefly and Serenity.
Yes.
And Tyler Labine being Sock from... What was that show about the devil?
The Reaper.
Yeah.
I like that's your reference, but I totally
that's how I
follow you
know
on that
from,
one.
yeah.
Going to this one, like you said, without really knowing, this one is so great on repeat viewings. A lot of these, I'm going to say, get new people to watch it every time you watch it.
It's always fun to watch a movie with someone else that hasn't seen it.
Yeah. But so much fun.
It is a ton of fun.
This is probably the most joyous movie on the list and the least scary for me.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah, there's not much. I can't remember. Is there even a scary factor
at the very end they try to make
They try to
yeah.
yeah.
That part's not the memorable part.
No,
It's-
it isn't.
It's the journey of following the guys through the confusion. you
right.
know.
Yeah.
All right, Joel, you have a number 10?
I do, and like you said, number 10 is a hard one because it's the one to kind of crack that top 10.
Just barely, sure.
And I want to choose one here that was maybe a little more hipster than my other picks because as Kent knows, he's gonna know all mine.
You're speaking to my heart right now, Joel.
But this is one that was really a sleeper for me, but I want more people to know about it, and so therefore I'm going to bring it up.
Okay.
2012, it's The Innkeepers.
Oh, what?
Was the sleeper thing a pun? Is that what?
Kind of, because it actually takes... Okay, so here's the synopsis. During the final days at the Yankee Peddler Inn, 2 employees determined to reveal the hotel's haunted past begin to experience disturbing events as old guests check in for a stay.
Are we reading these creepy like?
Everything's creepy when you say it like that.
Well, I've got to, because this is the last Halloween episode. We got to put a little more fear into it.
All right.
Directed by Ty West, right?
Yeah, directed by Ty West, who I didn't recognize any
He
of his
did
work.
House of the Devil, which came out last decade. Very creepy, very slow burn.
And this stars Sarah Paxton, Pat Healy, and then Kelly McGillis as a medium, which is kind of weird. So this one, like I said, this is a sleeper hit. And let me give you a little insight into the way I used to work things. It used to be whenever the Halloween season came up, I would take all of the horror movies in my DVD Netflix queue.
Joel still does DVD Netflix.
I still do Netflix. But back then, what I would do is I would bump them all to the top and then crank through as many horror movies as I could.
Yeah.
And it would be like, I'd mail it off. Netflix would get it. I'd get it a day after that. So every 3 days I'd have a new movie. And then I'd stream in between.
Joel, I can't remember the last time I touched a DVD.
I have one in my bag. Oh, no, I put that one out. Actually.
But the movies you're getting on your list are like The Ring 3.
I don't put ones I don't want to see in there. It's like
you love that
if someone
one.
says, hey, you need to see this movie, I'll be like, cool, I'll put it in my queue, and then I'll forget about it.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding when I say I have like 286 movies still in my DVD queue. But that's not the point. The point is that with this movie, sometimes the timing was off, and this movie actually arrived. This DVD actually arrived after Halloween was over, like the day after Halloween. And so I was already kind of out of the horror film mentality. I'd already cleaned up my decorations, and I was like, I'm not really in the mood to watch a horror movie, but I'll sit down and give this one a shot. And it was terrifying.
Can you
at
describe
parts.
it a
So,
little
Kent,
bit?
you haven't seen this?
I have, yes.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so this
It's
one,
a great movie.
This one is like so the hotel's shutting down.
Innkeeper.
It's like the last week I think of this hotel is going to be open. It's this old hotel. It's been around,
So he's going to try and kill as many people as possible.
And so they take these 2 people, basically 2 teen employees who are working there, decide they're going to spend the last couple nights since the hotel's basically empty, kind of investigating, and because there was a suicide there, years before, and they wanted to see the ghost.
PG-13?
R actually.
R, okay.
And
No wonder you like it.
It's R, and I actually have some content here. So it's R for there are some F words and disturbing images. So this is one.
Did you want me to go into the parents' guide?
It's just another night on Baconsale.
Yeah.
So this one, though, is one where it's not just about jump scares. There's a part in there when the jump scare happens and then it doesn't, like normally it's a jump scare and it's gone, but it sticks around. And so this terror just lingers and you're like, what is happening right now? What is happening right now? Like it was one of those moments where I kind of lost my breath for a second.
Yeah.
It was terrifying.
And there's humor in this movie as well.
It had a lot more humor than I thought, actually. But then it has these genuinely creepy moments where I'm like, this is good. But then, not many people even knew about it. It only made, I think it was only made about $1 million at the box office,
Okay,
and
sure.
almost cost $1 million. So didn't do great. But if you want a good scare, The Innkeepers. And
Yeah, great choice.
I hope you do take at least a couple of these and watch them before the season's out because it could be fun for you.
Okay.
Number 9 for me is one we talked about on Baconsale a couple times when it came out and not really much sense. It's The Visit.
Oh.
So, and I say when it came out about the same time Baconsale started, but
Was
we
it
talked
that
about
long ago?
Yeah,
Wow,
2015.
Wow.
So 2015, The Visit. 2 siblings become increasingly frightened by their grandparents' disturbing behavior while visiting them on vacation.
I always had visitors in my head. The visit, no.
Yeah,
the
it's just The Visit.
And this is directed by M. Night Shyamalan when he finally decided to put his name top billing again.
Oh.
Because really, for a while there, it was like After Earth. You didn't know it was directed by M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah.
No one really wanted to know. But before this one came out in 2015...
He's like, this movie isn't garbage. I'll put my name on it.
Yeah. His last good movie, I think, that he directed was The Village in 2004.
Wow.
So like 11 years.
Yeah.
I mean, he produced and wrote Devil in 2010, which I think was actually good.
Sure.
But he didn't direct that one.
Why do I just feel like I just picture a dirty diaper?
Don't give him
That
too much.
scene is
That's all I'm gonna say.
so memorable.
Yeah, well, that's just it. So this movie...
And it's not even the worst part of the movie.
Oh,
but
it's not.
It's what I think
not,
of.
but yeah.
No, but when I first saw this movie, I thought to myself, well, it's not exactly a complete return to form, but it sounds like, it feels like M. Night Shyamalan's making a step in the right direction.
Yes.
And I think that's kind of what we all felt with this movie. In fact, I think we went to go see this one together.
We did, actually. And I remember because we saw this one with Emily, and then we did our Shyamalan show.
We did episode 24, the M. Night Shyamalan.
We had... Hold on. Pat myself on the back. Joel, can I pat you on the back?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Emily, wherever you are, pat
on the back, Emily.
I remember because we were all afraid some homeless people approached us after this movie.
That's right.
And we didn't trust anyone. If anyone looked at us weird, we didn't trust them. We didn't even say, I like witches or I like homeless people.
No.
Usually you're just so embracing of homeless people, though.
Yeah, I just embrace them.
Yeah. So
You're
this
like,
one
"Wanna
is
put up?"
this one is PG-13 because of, I think that there's like one partial F word and some brief nudity and disturbing images.
The weird nudity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Weird.
I mean, not the okay kind.
So this one, I was going to say, it's a little. I wish they wouldn't have leaned on the found footage thing so much because that was more of a gimmick. They could have filmed this one a lot more straightforward, and I think it would have been better.
You think?
I think
Found
so.
footage on The Visit?
Yeah, the whole thing is found footage. Not
Because
one,
it's from the kid's perspective.
this kid's an amateur photographer.
But
In fact,
no, they go back and forth, though.
it's all through the camera.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, and that's the thing is it's not integral to the plot, but they use it as a gimmick to move the thing forward.
Without it, I don't think you could have got one of the movie's best scares.
Well, okay, but to see that they could still do. In my opinion, they could have done a third person with some footage.
Okay.
Like they wouldn't have completely disregarded it.
Right.
The kid actor, the boy, I can't remember his name right now. He really annoyed me for the first half
Because he
and then
raps
at the end,
and it's
yeah.
awful.
He's kind of terrible, but then he grows on you. But I really was just like, But this movie makes you uneasy almost the entire time. It doesn't rely on jump scares. There are some pretty darn effective ones.
Yeah,
there
But
are.
One of the most terrifying scenes for me is, and this isn't a spoiler, but they're playing a game of hide and seek.
Oh, Under the House.
Under the House?
Yeah.
And it just, the way it's shot and the way it's acted,
Yeah.
it haunted me.
It's so uncomfortable.
Yes.
And it becomes so much more creepy even after you finish the movie and then
Yes.
you think back on what's happening down there and it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
And
So
the weird nudity, too.
Yeah. Yes.
Is that where the weird nudity is?
Right.
Yeah, I don't want to give too much away about it because this is
It
one
just
where
wants to talk about weird nudity. Let the record show.
Well, come on.
this is definitely a movie where it's more fun if you don't know what's going on, but
Yeah.
it's still fun even after. So I don't want to spoil any of my movies I'm going to be mentioning
Also,
today.
I just think this is good. Obviously, we didn't expect anything from an M. Night Shyamalan movie, and so we were all just so impressed.
Yeah, this is
It's
a
just-
full
it's
bacon
just
sale
good.
recommendation.
Yes.
Yeah, all three of us. Go watch The Visit.
Okay.
You need a good creepy
And
one.
in regard to creep factor, definitely lower creep factor. Like we're talking like, if you like scary movies, This one's not too hard.
A
that
good
way.
jumpy movie, though.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
gonna
not
be some stars.
graphic, and it's PG-13, but it's very effective.
This could have gone on our gateway one, but we did say almost any night.
Yeah, it's a good
Shyamalan
gateway.
show
Yeah,
could.
exactly. All right, guys, I'm going to put down my fedora a little bit because
Oh,
I'm
yes.
going hipster.
Why are you wearing a fedora and not a shirt? That's just weird.
It's
just
the new
weird.
thing to do. There's suspenders right here. You
I don't
see
know how
these?
you pop a collar when you're not wearing a shirt. But
So I'm going to go with a movie came out in 2016. It's called The Invitation.
Invitation.
A man accepts an invitation to a dinner party hosted by his ex-wife. An unsettling affair that reopens old wounds and creates new tensions.
I see.
Let me explain this a little bit further. So,
Who's in this one?
Logan Marshall Green,
Okay.
who
Yeah.
I now think is the superior Tom Hardy.
Oh, wow.
After Upgrade, I'm just so
Upgrade was so
sold on
good.
him. And he is great in this movie. So basically, you have him, goes to see his ex-wife at a dinner party, and it's all these old friends, haven't seen each other for 2 years. And
So
so they're all...
familiar. I think I only saw the
So
trailer.
this is on Netflix right now, and has been for a few years. That's where I saw it for the first time. Never saw it in the theaters. And so he goes, and all these friends are like, "Oh my gosh, it's been forever!" And they're really leery around each other because there's a tragedy that happened. And you see his ex-wife, who has a new boyfriend, and she's acting kind of weird. And everyone's like, "No, everyone's being really nice. Like, what a great dinner party! Nothing strange here." And they show like this strange video, and you're like, "What am I watching? Is this like multi-level marketing right here?" Why did they bring all
Like
these
a
people
girl
to this
and there's
dinner
a
party?
well and a mirror and a ladder and then
Yeah, strange, right? Don't go to those dinner parties.
Right.
But you see Logan Marshall Green as the only one who's willing to speak his mind in this situation. And he's like, this is weird. Why are these strange guests that none of us know here? Why is the door locked? What's going on here? And everyone's like, calm down. You've probably had too much to drink. He's like, no. I'm the only one with sense. And then the movie will kind of prove him wrong in many ways. And it's just this
It
weird,
proves him wrong.
unsettling, slow burn, which obviously I love and I profess to love. It's a
That's
comfort.
why he doesn't even treat his athlete's foot. He loves the slow burn.
The slow burn. It seethes, but it is.
That was very gentle, Joel.
It is. It's hard to watch because you know something big will happen, but you almost don't care because it's like going to an awkward dinner party with friends.
I mean, it probably ends with a big axe and some death, so
you'll have to see.
I will.
Honestly, because it's very misleading.
Maybe everybody hugs it out at the end.
Maybe they do. And truthfully,
Plot twist.
I wouldn't have even minded if it went either way because of the discomfort that this movie gives you. And everyone in this house is like tiptoeing around just uncomfortable situations. And you're like, people, stop it. You're all being way too kind. Maybe at your own detriment. We'll see. So yeah, Logan Marshall Green is fantastic in this movie.
The Invitation.
The Invitation. It's on Netflix right now. It is rated R.
If you were given a horror level here, where are we at here?
This is
One being like,
I like this.
Disney's Halloween treat.
You need to do
and 10
retroactive
being
of this.
10's like
He's in the pool with
terrifying,
sharks?
Like,
oh,
wet yourself.
if we're going Great White Sharks, if we're going Pyramid
No,
here.
I'm talking like movie stuff here. Like, terrifying, gonna stick with you forever is 10.
Oh, no.
and like Disney
I'm
Halloween
sorry.
treat is 1.
You'll get to the end and you'll be like, what a cool concept. But this would probably be 7.
Okay.
It's a strong 7.
Okay.
But I loved it. 2016, The Invitation. Go see it on Netflix now.
Okay.
All right, my number 8 also came out in 2016. Did see this one in the theater, and I'll never forget it. Don't Breathe.
Oh, yeah.
Hoping to walk away with a massive fortune, a trio of thieves break into the house of a blind man who isn't as helpless as he seems. This one is directed by, I think it's Fede Alvarez. He directed the Evil Dead remake, which, I'm saying now, is an honorable mention.
Really?
They did a really good job with the Evil Dead remake. Nothing like Evil Dead or Evil Dead 2, but man, that movie is gory, and they do a lot of crazy cool things. But Don't Breathe stars Jane Levy, Stephen Lang,
Yeah.
and Jake, have you seen this movie?
It's funny. I was just remembering scenes from it, but I don't remember watching the whole thing. So I must have caught bits of it at some point.
It's not one that's going to stay with you.
It's a really effective trailer.
Oh, there's some things that will stick with you.
Okay, there's a scene that almost kind of taints the entire experience because it's gross. Because it takes away from the movie. This movie is tension 95% of the time.
The whole point is I mean, I don't want to.
Like it's the
spoil
title.
it.
Don't Breathe, and you have this blind man. I mean, it's in the synopsis.
Yeah,
and he's looking for them.
Basically, it's like they're in this house. It's in the trailer, so we could say this. It's these kids who break into this blind man's house. They're in there, and then all of a sudden the blind man locks them in, and he's hunting them, basically.
And he has a dog.
And so they have
And he's
to be
very
quiet and
serious
hide.
about it. And
Yeah,
dude is effective.
The dude is...
It's Stephen Lang, who
Yeah.
you know from like Avatar.
Yeah, he's like the shaved head sergeant in Avatar, but he really is terrifying. And this
know
is,
he's talking
this
about
is a
Avatar.
unique horror movie. Like, this is one that I didn't expect to be so caught up in the movie, because I really was.
Yeah. And it's like, don't breathe. You hold your breath.
I do.
I feel like this is the most suspenseful movie of the decade.
I
Like,
can see that.
I was just, heart in my throat. I was like, I can't even function during this movie. And there's a part that's just gross. But at the same time, what this movie does with so little gore as well.
Yeah, very little.
Just
very
with
little blood or
straight
gore.
emotions and darkness. And in fact, the entire cast wore contact lenses. And so in low light shots, it restricted everyone's vision. So it looked like they had dilated pupils, but it restricted everyone's vision. So they played the movie out
Wow, that's
as if
interesting.
they're really reacting that way.
Yeah.
And there's a few jump scares, but they're actually like earned, and they have a payoff, I guess I would say, and they don't ruin the tension whatsoever. Whereas usually jump scares like, oh yeah, now I can laugh. Nope, this one there's no relief until the end, essentially. And I would
Because you
say,
had to pee the whole time?
basically, yeah.
Okay, I got you.
This is a great party movie. Once again, watch this with new people. Maybe watch it edited, because there's a scene, like I said.
And really, like, when I watched it, that one scene well, you saw most of it. There's one part apparently that it jumped over, and I was
Yes.
like, oh, okay, good.
And everyone will watch this movie in complete silence.
Yeah,
Because the tension.
You hope
The
so.
tension is so high.
This is one you don't want.
I feel like even if they yell at the screen, they're like, "Why are you doing that?" They'll stop because they won't be able to.
This is
speak.
where you don't want to have a Joker in the room when you do this. When it's like, haha, this is so ridiculous, right? Everybody, and kill all the
Nobody
tension.
wants Jared Leto in the room.
No, nobody does.
Quotable quotes.
Not even Warner Brothers.
Slam.
All right, my number 8. I am going. My white guilt has got me, and so I'm going to choose Get Out.
Actually, I don't think that is your white guilt.
No, it's
because this
not.
movie actually says some different things than everyone expected.
Okay, so here's the thing. I was
Number-
worried-
what are you at? 7?
Number 8.
8.
Get Out. I'll read the synopsis here. A young African American visits his white girlfriend's parents for the weekend, where his simmering uneasiness about their reception of him eventually reaches a boiling point. Now, when I saw the trailer for this one, I was worried that this was going to be kind of a heavy-handed racial message, like racial prejudice.
Sure.
The message is definitely there, but it's not heavy-handed. And it also mocks the people who act like...
Self-righteous?
Yes, like
Sure.
look how like I would have voted for Obama twice if I could have. Like they repeat that through the movie because these they Jordan
Woke.
Peele,
Right.
He made the joke that like he hears that all the time, that people will try to be overcompensating, and in so much they kind of become more offensive.
Yes.
So I watched this one when I found out Jordan Peele was doing it. If you don't know, he's from Key and Peele, which is a comedy group. This is his first movie, his directorial debut, and he knocked it out of the park.
Yes, he did.
Because this movie is intense. It is captivating the whole time. You're like, what is going on? Like, you just want to know what's happening beneath the surface. And I feel like Jordan Peele, his style of comedy works so well with horror because it's all about the reveal. It's all about setup, punchline. It's just a matter of you're getting a laugh or a scream. And there are parts of this movie that I remember seeing, like it's on the trailer when the guy's running straight towards him, and then he suddenly just turns left out of nowhere, and it's like just uncomfortable moment where you're like, why did that happen?
Yeah.
And your brain doesn't quite understand it, and so you become fearful and uncomfortable.
And it dwells on moments.
Yeah, it
It
does.
lets you marinate for a long time in fear. This is R-rated. There's 48 F words in this movie. It's on.
That's nothing.
It's on
It's a Tuesday.
Disturbing images. This is on Clearplay.
It's an episode
and
of Baconsale.
Yes, exactly. But this was. I like this one, and also because it was nominated for Best Picture and Best Original Screenplay. Like it got some Academy love because horror movies don't usually get that.
Yeah.
And because it's not a traditional horror movie, but I do feel like I liked this movie genuinely, but I do feel like it almost got too much praise. Like the critics that they were mocking in this movie
Became the critics who overpraised this movie.
who were like, "Oh, we loved it. We loved it so much because it has like I think a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is like the highest of any other movie
Yeah.
on here, which I thought was unusual. But it's almost kind of funny how like even the people that they're mocking still don't.
I
want
think
to,
even Jordan Peele has commented on that.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's like people are afraid
About
to
the
criticize
reception.
It.
Basically, yes.
Yeah, because I'm not saying it was a perfect movie. I mean, it's my number 8. It's not my number 1, but
What's great about Jordan Peele is like he's a Twilight Zone fan. Obviously, he's narrating the new Twilight Zone series that no
Yeah.
one watches. But he's taken those concepts to create a 2-hour experience that is pretty unforgettable and strangely rewatchable.
Yeah.
Really?
Because then you watch it a second time and
I
you're
only
like,
saw it
okay,
the
this
once,
is fun.
but yeah.
But yeah, and I feel like Daniel Kaluuya, I was not on board with him at first. I was like, who is this guy? His performance was so wooden to me. But by the end, I was like, I'm in. I'm sold. This guy's good. So I'd like to see him do more than just, Wakanda forever.
It's the little details.
What? That didn't satisfy it?
Yeah. It's there's Easter eggs and little details in this movie that when you watch it a second or third time, you're going to catch on and be like,
That's
that
cool.
is so clever.
Yeah. So that was my number 8. My number 7 is actually a horror comedy from 2015. It's What We Do in the Shadows.
Okay. I was waiting for this one.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, we talked about this
Why
one.
the really?
You were
Because
a
it
fan?
was a terrible movie.
What?
What we do in the shadows? Am I thinking of the right one? Oh no! I'm totally thinking
What'd you
of
think
it.
it was?
The Tim Burton one with
Dark Shadows.
Dark Shadows.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
This one is this is a mockumentary featuring 3 vampires, Viago, Deacon, and Vladislav. And it's all about this kind of mockumentary about the life of a vampire just trying to make it in the world today.
No, that show's like a constant smirk.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's directed by Jermaine Clement from Flight of the Conchords and Taika Waititi from Thor Ragnarok. So this one was funny because it was a short that they made, a little short mockumentary that then became a movie. And then the movie was so successful, they decided to make a TV series about it. But it's just funny because it's like these vampires, but they're having the same issues. Like they can't get into the clubs and stuff like that.
Right.
And it's not as easy to find people, and they have all the different types of vampires. Whether you have like the old Nosferatu type, or the Gary Oldman Dracula type, or the modern vampire. This one is rated R. It's got about 10 F words and some violence and nudity, mostly played for laughs. Like the violence is really kind of
My life
funny.
story.
But Clearplay didn't have it, but VidAngel does.
Your life story? Is that what you said?
Played for laughs.
Violence played for laughs.
But this is one where it wasn't nonstop laughs the entire time. But like Jacob said, I was smirking the whole time, and then I would chuckle out loud.
It's New Zealand comedy.
Yeah,
It's very specific.
if you like Flight
brand.
of the Conchords, you're gonna like What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah.
We talked about this on our vampire show that we did last year as well.
And it was Baconsale approved.
It was.
My number 7 is from 2015, and it's Green Room.
Really?
I
looking at
love
your
that
faces.
one.
With
Yeah,
Jean-Luc Picard?
No, the Best Picture winner. It's the Best Picture winner,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, with Viggo Mortensen.
Yeah.
There is a book in the Green Room.
Ah, yes.
So, a punk rock band is forced to fight for survival after witnessing a murder at a neo-Nazi skinhead bar.
What number is this for you?
Number 7.
Because I remember after you watched it, I was like, "Is that any good?" And you're like, "This is pretty gritty."
It's really gritty.
Yeah.
This made my top 10 of the year, I think top 5 of 2015, directed by Jeremy Saulnier, who did Blue Ruin, and stars Anton Yelchin, Patrick Stewart, so yes, Jean-Luc Picard, and Imogen Poots.
I love Imogen Poots.
You just like saying Imogen Poots.
Famke Jensen and Imogen Poots are like my favorite names to say.
Can you say those over and over again? 3 times?
Franca Potente, Famke Jensen, Imogen Poots.
I love that so much. Joel, I feel like you haven't seen this movie.
No, haven't. But you told me about it when you saw it.
Total recommendation. It's gritty. It's so gritty. So it really is like this punk band goes to play this gig at this bar where they realize there's a bunch of skinheads, and they sing a song about how much they hate skinheads. And they witness a crime, and they trap themselves inside the green room. And so what you have is Patrick Stewart leading this group of neo-Nazis, and they're going to kill him. And they're basically waiting him out, trying to get them out of this room. So it's an isolated movie. It's like a bottle episode.
Okay.
And it is really bloody. I mean, it's not bloody at all until it is. And you're like, oh, my word, what is happening here? It's this punk band who you're like, oh, they're all anarchists. You don't really care. But then you start to. And you're like, please get out. How can you escape? You know, there's everyone is against you at this point, and it seems insurmountable.
So, I mean, I don't want to use numbers because it might get confusing with the numbers of rankings, but let's go with high, medium, low here on intensity. High being really intense. And
So
low
we just
being...
I talked about Don't Breathe, and that, like, as far as intensity, that's a 10. And at this movie, at times, this would be a 9 as far as intensity. So not horrifying. Like, this is not a horror film, but it's horrific to watch.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, does it really count as horror? I didn't think it would.
Totally.
Just
For me,
It's got the green filter.
this is one of the creepiest as far as who real monsters are
okay.
and how that you need to escape with your life. And it does play out a lot like a horror film.
Okay.
And it's honestly kind of like the opposite of Don't Breathe. Like, there's no methodical, like, hiding in the dark. The baddies know, like, exactly where the protagonists are, and
They're just trying to get in.
They're waiting them out.
Oof.
By the end of this movie, makes you feel like you went for a run. Like, you're just exhausted. Definitely watch it if you haven't. Once again, not horror. This is straight thriller, but for me, this is a horror film.
Okay.
My favorite part is when he teaches Jean-Luc Picard how to eat fried chicken, in the back seat of the car.
And then he teaches him how to write home.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so
wife,
sweet.
yeah.
Best
very
picture
sweet.
winner.
We're talking about Green Book for those non-nerds out
Oscar
there.
inside jokes. My number 6 is from 2011, Fright Night.
The remake?
Yes.
Really?
The remake's better than the original.
Absolutely.
I guess the original has just this kind of campy quality that
It's
I love.
so 80s. And so,
It is.
the synopsis is, when a nice new neighbor moves in next door, Charlie discovers an ancient vampire who preys on the community. Can he save the neighborhood from the creature with the help of the famous vampire killer, Peter Vincent?
Mm-hmm.
I love when they end with questions in a synopsis.
Yeah.
So much like the 80s movie, where you have this dopey kid who just really wants to meet a girl. There's a vampire that moves next door, and he's like, I got to save this town. And then in that version, you have Roddy McDowall playing like this TV host of like late night horror. In this one, they definitely modernize it.
Yeah.
In this one, you have David Tennant.
Yes.
The 10th Doctor. Sorry, please don't turn off the show. He's playing a Chris Angel type magician, and he's going to help him fight the vampires. And it's all based on this like ruse, right? And so there's no way this kid and this scam artist are going to beat Colin Farrell, who is fantastic.
He's a
in this
great
movie.
He actually was
for it.
really good in this. I didn't dislike this movie, I should clarify.
Yeah, I saw this one, and I was like, I expect nothing. I love that 80s movie. It's one of the movies I watched dozens of times growing up, and I walked out of this movie just pleased as punch.
Yeah?
Like, the violence is great. The humor, it's not as funny as the 80s, but it works. Also, like, the setting. It's like in this... Like, it was made in 2011, so it's still like recession-era Nevada. Mm-hmm. And so there's like a suburban area, which is middle of nowhere, and a vampire moves in next door.
It's like partially developed.
Yeah. No one's really there to protect anyone. And this vampire... He's more like a serial killer in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's absolutely terrifying. I would say this one has the best cast of any movie on my list. Because you have, like I said, Anton Yelchin, Imogen Poots.
Imogen Poots in this one too?
Yeah.
Yes.
Colin Farrell, Toni Collette,
Yeah,
and David Tennant.
That's right, she is in that.
And also McLovin, if you want to bring that up. But, you know.
This I was going to say, this would be probably medium intensity, I'd say.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
this isn't really scary, but it's got some parts that are jumpy.
Yeah, it's slightly more scary than it is funny, but it really does have a great mix.
Yeah.
Like, I would say it's like a horror action comedy, and comedy definitely being the third on that list.
Yeah.
Because it is very action-packed as well.
Mm-hmm.
But see this one. It far exceeds the original.
Okay.
Because there's nostalgia glasses, and then there's just quality film.
My number 6, this is going to be a hipster pick to maybe the listener, but not a hipster pick to you, King, 'cause I believe we've discussed this film before, because it's Korean horror.
Yes. Wait, hold on. You're speaking my language. I love this so much. Go on.
I watch the foreign movies. What are you talking about?
Can you say the actual title in Korean?
No, I cannot.
Okay.
But this is Train to Busan.
Yes.
Honestly, this was such a surprise to me because I haven't seen many Korean horror movies. And this one was one where it's a zombie movie. And I'll just read the synopsis here. While a zombie virus breaks out in South Korea, passengers struggle to survive on the train from Seoul to Busan. So literally, it's a zombie movie with people trapped on a train. This stars Gong Yoo, Jung Yoo Mi, and Ma Dong Seok. There you go.
Well done.
That was not well done.
It sounded. I was convinced.
I'm convinced, yeah.
But this is one of those surprisingly clean horror movies out there. Like,
Explain.
it's PG-13 zombie movie, and there is little to no language, and I think that maybe has one S word in it.
So if
That's
zombies
it.
are eating somebody, do you just not see it as obscured?
It's not gory. Like, there's definitely blood in here, and oh man, the Korean zombies are creepy. They do this like jittery walk thing.
They do a great job. And practical as well.
Yeah, it's all practical effects. It's like contortionists and stuff like that. My wife could not take their walking because it's just, she doesn't like weird walking in movies. That's one of her kind of fear triggers. But this was surprisingly good. Like, I got to the end and I'm like, wow, there was emotion there. There was terror there. There's a sense of hopelessness. There's also a sense of hope. Like, they do this good job of manipulating you. And it's kind of this different zombie movie because, yes, it's once again people trapped, with outside influences, but they're all trapped on this train together.
Yeah.
And this is one, actually, this is on Netflix, by the way. I believe it still is. You can watch it streaming on
Subtitles,
Netflix.
right?
Subtitles, definitely. But Bob Bador from Quickwits has said this is, quote, one of his top 10 movies. and easily the best zombie movie.
Movies,
period.
Yes, which
Bob,
I was
surprised
by that.
Bob, come on now.
But really, I was surprised by how good
Bob.
it was. I don't know if I put it that good, but Train to Busan, if you're looking for a solid PG-13 horror flick, zombie flick, this is the one to watch.
More intense than it is scary, and more
Yes.
emotional than it is scary as well. I think.
This is medium level intensity.
Did you say where this is available right now?
It's streaming on Netflix.
Oh.
At least last I saw that's where I watched it. I was streaming on Netflix not too long ago. But yeah, Train to Busan. Give it a chance.
I was talking to someone about this movie
Saying
today.
Busan?
Yeah, Busan.
Busan.
I feel like this is the movie World War Z should have been. Because it's like this isolated story that is really intense, and it just shows a group of people trying to survive. By the way, they're working on a sequel now.
Yeah.
To World
And
War
apparently-
Z?
Nope. Actually, they canceled that one. But to Train to Busan.
Yeah, and apparently there was like a animated prequel, I think, to this movie or
Yes.
something that was also very critically loved. I haven't seen that one yet, but I was really intrigued by this. I'd like to see more by this director.
Koreans make great horror, honestly.
I'm trying to think if I've seen
And
another
food.
Korean horror movie.
And food.
But anyway,
I have a few to recommend to you.
okay. We'll see if they're on ClearPlay. My number 5, we've already talked about in the show. It's Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Yeah, there we go.
That made my top 5.
Okay. I was wondering.
Well,
Yeah.
this was one where it turned the genre on its head, because it's like every single horror movie, slasher movie, I should say, you get these backwoods hillbillies that are stalking the kids and warning them and creeping them out. And it's so fun to see that turned on its head with just perfect, if I may give a pun here, perfect execution.
Oh, nice. I like that.
I do wish they wouldn't have given so much away in the trailer, because I think the twists. I watched it just again before the show, and twists are given away, deaths are given away. Like, the story is basically entirely there, so I think it lessens the impact when you actually
Just
see it on the
go
screen.
watch it. Do not get any
Yeah.
spoiler.
Yeah.
Did you know the special features on the DVD? If anyone still has a DVD,
No,
they
just Joel.
They show
And Netflix.
They show a short movie, and I think it's like 30 minutes long, and it's the camper's experience. So you see it from their view. You see the
that's
horror
funny.
film play out from their
That's
view.
funny.
That's fun.
And I do feel like the third act is a little weak.
It is.
when
It
they
is.
try to pull in actual.
I
horror
literally
movie
can't
elements.
remember it.
It's not that good. But they also keep talking about making a sequel. It's been bounced around a couple times, so I think it's a bad idea.
Yeah, it's
but this
been 10
movie
years.
actually bombed. Like,
Of course it did.
it was $5 million for the budget. It only made $4.7 million. And okay, so here's the thing: $4.7 million didn't even make its budget back. 223,000 of that was domestic. It made over 4 million worldwide.
Well, did they even put it in theaters then?
No, that's just it. The studio apparently didn't have enough faith in it, so it did like this limited release. But then it got kind of this worldwide publicity, and then it became kind of this one that people would talk about underground. So
Yeah. And this would be one of those when Blockbuster was still around, you'd see on the shelf. You'd be like, "Yep, that's what I'm watching this Friday.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the one."
yeah. So there you go. There's my number 5. We're in our top 5 already.
Okay. My number 5 is the Vavitch. There's 3 V's in there
There's
now.
only 2.
Yeah, the Vavitch. It's a New England folktale. A family in 16. I should do it in New England speak. But
Yeah, please do.
A family in
Don't stop.
1630s
No.
New
New
England.
England
is torn apart by the forces of witchcraft, black magic, and possession. Directed by Robert Eggers, this was his debut film. He's also doing The
I
Lighthouse,
love
which comes out
Freddy
now.
Krueger.
England.
Oh,
River,
right.
whatever. They start with E. And the cast at this point, I mean,
Anya Taylor-Joy.
Anya Taylor-Joy. This is her first movie,
Oh, was
and
this
she
one?
showcases
Because she
the
was the
entire
girl.
movie.
She did Split as well. She was the main girl in Split.
Yes.
and did a fantastic job in that.
and it's now just carried over.
Yeah.
And then it was in Glass, but we don't want to talk about that.
no.
Wait, so she was a blonde in The Vitch, right?
Yes.
And then, but she's a brunette in Split.
You know, women can dye their hair, Jacob.
Has she been in anything else?
Hold on, that wasn't a different actress.
I'm catching up right now. I'm like, holy cow!
She was in a movie called Morgan,
She's
and
got
it's
a-
about this genetic experiment. She was actually bald in that, if you can believe it.
And she was a redhead. In
Now
another
I'm more
one.
confused.
It's weird how people can modify
No,
simple
she
things
has a
about
really
themselves.
unique face, and I hadn't put it together. Yeah, that's who that is.
Yeah, but this was her first one, and this one came out at Sundance, and it took a year for them to finally release it to everyone else. I remember because Emily, she saw this one, and she's like, "I saw the creepiest movie," and I said, "That's cool. It has no relevance to me because I haven't even seen a trailer. You know how it is."
Yeah.
And then I saw it a year later, and I said, "Oh my gosh, why didn't you tell me about this before?" And she did, and yeah, it absolutely chills me to the bone.
This is one that Emily actually, and you,
Yes.
Emily and you, warned me against watching. Like, Joel, you're not going to like this.
Like, let's talk about this. We've talked about the levels of fear in the show or the levels of intensity. A lot of people ghosts, or people can deal with creepy stalker movies. People don't want to deal with demonic possessions or Satan.
Don't want to mess with that.
This movie
Flashback to last week.
This movie is about Satan.
It messes.
It's witches and Satan. And so it is one of those where, like, do you want to watch this in your home? Maybe not, honestly.
Right. Well,
But should
then
be seen.
The funny thing is both of you were like, no, Joel, don't watch it. Don't watch it. Don't watch it.
Did that
Back
make
in
you want to watch it
back
more?
in, when it was, 2016?
Yes.
And now he owns it.
And then all of a sudden, when we were doing our witch show, Kent's like, you watch this now. You watch it. You watch it and you like it.
It's a witch show, and it's called The Witch.
And then Emily was like, yeah, you should watch it. Like, you both turned against me. I think you've both been possessed by Satan.
Satan. He's a nice Satan. But this is my go-to example of like slow burn horror. It's really all about the dark foreboding atmosphere, and it feels like claustrophobic because the woods are all around. There's really no jump scares here. It's just the feeling of and we talked about this, and I love that the family dynamics play out like The Crucible, which we approved on the last show. Just because there's the paranoia, there's the fear, and there's the poor decision making. Let's say that.
I do want to clarify.
You can't have that if it's a horror movie. You can't go without that.
Right.
Yeah.
I do want to clarify that I do think this is a well-made movie, meaning that I think that the acting was good. I think the cinematography was good. Their use of sound was spectacular.
Yes.
But I watched it on VidAngel, and it jumped over the most horrific scenes because the witch is apparently not wearing a lot of clothing.
Wait, how would you describe that, Ken?
Creepy nudity, actually.
Creepy?
Off-putting nudity.
Weird is the word.
Weird
Nudity.
nudity.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing is,
There's many different genres, Jake.
so, but the parts that I saw, it actually, I'm not saying I didn't like this movie because parts that I saw were well crafted, but it definitely, the editing had an impact here.
It's kind of like it's taking away the exclamation point.
Yeah,
you know, it's like you're reading
a
a sentence. You're like, I get it. That's a slow moving sentence because it's such a slow movie. And then it's like exclamation is gone.
Well, I'll just say this much.
Yes.
It gets to the end of this movie and it's building up to this thing and crazy stuff happens.
Yeah.
And it gets to the end. And on my version, it gets crazy. It goes dark. And then the credits start rolling. And I was like,
yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's kind of an open ending. And then I went on IMDb, read the synopsis, and I'm like, oh, that's why they cut out this part. And so then I had to talk to Kent and Emily.
Please bless your soul, though, Joel, because you weren't exposed to the awfulness of what happened. You're more pure because you didn't see what happened. And
Well,
I'm
I don't know
thankful.
I'd say that, but okay.
All right, so my number 4, speaking of Korean horror, I brought this one up a lot to Joel.
No one was talking about
I think I
that.
bring this movie up to Joel every other week.
Well, you're not going to bring it up again, are you?
It's not that one.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Joel got real worried.
Yeah,
we brought
I
this
did.
up on the show before. This one is from 2010, so right at the beginning of the decade. It's I Saw the Devil.
That's the one I didn't want you to bring up.
Oh, I can bring up dumplings.
No, don't bring up dumplings either.
I thought it was dumplings.
No. No.
You really didn't want me to bring up I Saw the Devil?
Well, okay, so the way you described I Saw the Devil to me,
I'll give this real
Yes.
quick. And because I want to go more further into the plot, because this is basic.
Right.
A secret agent exacts revenge on a serial killer through a series of
Sorry.
captures and releases.
Did you say a secret
A
agent?
secret agent.
Okay.
Secret agent man.
So this was one where you told me about it. I remember we just started working together, and you're like, "Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Kent. Let me tell you about I Saw the Devil."
You saw the devil?
And
it's a movie.
But you told me about this movie in Kent graphic detail, as I call it. And I got
I thought
to
it
the
was
point.
dumplings he told you about right away, first time you met.
Which one?
Dumplings.
No, not that one. But then I
Because I'm
started getting. I think it was the
desensitized,
same
right?
day you told me about both those movies.
Oh, I hope
But
not.
this one actually kind of made me sick. And then you sent me a clip. And the clip was...
I did?
The clip was someone...
wrong with me?
Hitting someone over the head in a car. And I went, I don't like this at all.
With a car?
In a car. Like
in
they're
a
sitting
car.
in a car. And
Hitchhiker
Yeah. It's
gets
not
hit in the
good.
head. This movie shows everything. It's very rated R. In fact, this one was kind of NC-17, and they cut it back. It's directed by Ji Woon Kim. He did A Tale of Two Sisters, which was remade here in America as The Uninvited. Go see A Tale of Two Sisters. It's very, very good. Also, he did The Good, the Bad, and the Weird, which is a fun Korean movie. And it stars Byung-Hung Lee, who was in Magnificent Seven, which came out a few years ago here, Red 2, G.I. Joe 1 and 2 at Storm Shadow. And also it stars...
So some of your favorite movies just across the board.
He's really good in it, though. He's the secret agent. And the killer in this movie, it's played by Min Sik Choi, and he was Old Boy, the original Old Boy, and he's also in Lucy with Scarlett Johansson. This story is for everyone who's ever thought, like, let's say people listen to true crime podcasts, and they said, if I got my hands on that killer, like, how would I react? How would I make them pay? How would I give them justice for what they did? this is that movie because someone gets to.
I would turn them into the police so fast and follow due process.
But then you wouldn't have I Saw the Devil, which has no satanic stuff in it at all.
He's basically just saying, like, the whole point is that he saw the devil, meaning the devil inside someone.
And inside himself,
Devil
because it
inside.
shows immediate revenge,
inside.
but it shows the trouble of becoming what you hate, because it is a cat and mouse game, and you're not sure who's the cat and who's the mouse.
Jerry.
He's the
Jerry's
cat.
the mouse. Tom's the cat.
Tom's a cat.
Itchy,
Yeah.
Itchy and Scratchy.
Itchy is the mouse. Scratchy is the cat. I'm
Okay.
pretty
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. For
Okay,
sure.
thank you for clearing that up.
I think so.
Do we need to go over that again? I don't know if it's...
Please.
Okay. No.
But this is not for the faint of heart. Only watch this if you can watch really stuff that's pretty violent. It's very...
Only watch this if you watch stuff you shouldn't watch.
If you've got a Kent heart, and by that I mean this cold chest cavity, which I think has kind of grown a little bit of a heart,
I think so.
I actually can't
Yeah, it
watch
has.
this movie anymore. I've seen it twice, and the second time I went, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm really good.
We're turning this off, girls.
Like it is such
Two
a
times in a row is plenty.
it is a pizza movie night. I Saw the Devil.
My number 4 is actually from 2012, and it's directed by Drew Goddard, and it is The Cabin in the Woods.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a good choice.
So once again, I feel like a lot of mine in my top 10 list are unconventional or turning the genre on its head, and Cabin in the Woods is just that.
We know this though. Like
And Kent just
horror,
picks the darker, the better.
horror is great when something is added to it.
Yeah.
Like I always say, comedy is great when it's part of another genre.
Well, you and I have watched so many horror movies that it's like more of the
We
same,
know
more of the
the
same. So when
tropes.
someone does something different, it's like, oh, this is fun.
Totally.
So the synopsis: 5 friends go on a break at a remote cabin where they get more than they bargained for, discovering the truth behind the cabin in the woods, which sounds exactly like every slasher movie ever.
Yep.
But then the thing that this movie
Which
does,
is what makes it perfect.
yeah, because it's like they set it up as like, oh, this is a stereotypical slasher movie, and then they completely flip it, where it's just, it's confusing at first, but you just got to hold on tight, pay attention, and all of a sudden you realize what's going on. And this movie just completely eviscerates slasher movie archetypes. Like
Yes.
just tears them apart. And it's just witty and fun to watch.
Are you going to spoil anything in it?
Maybe not too much.
It's quite a while
meta.
ago.
Actually, so how I explain
very
this one
meta.
is think Scream and what it did for slasher movies of the 90s and
Yes.
obviously 80s and 70s, and how they played on the rules. This one goes, okay, we're not only going to play on the serial killer or the slasher movies, we're going to play on the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and also this was written Drew I can't remember, is it Goddard or Goddard?
Goddard.
Yeah, Drew Goddard and Joss Whedon. He
What?
actually wrote.
No,
some-
we don't mention that name
This
in
was
this
the
house.
same year as Avengers, by the way.
It was, but it wasn't.
I know, but that's
it was
what I mean.
made
It
in
came out the
it
same
was,
year.
It was supposed to come out
It's
in
had a delay,
2010,
right? Yeah.
Chris
Yeah,
Hemsworth is
2010.
in this one. It's just kind of funny to see.
He's
it
in
the
this
same
before
year.
he was cast as Thor.
I know, it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But so this one is fun because it I mean, this is definitely R. There's some nudity, some F words, tons of violence.
By the way, not weird. Saying.
yeah,
Not weird.
and it's
How would you
this-
describe that one?
This one's on ClearPlay actually, but
I just shrugged my head.
so this one was one where I don't want to give too much away, but there is a scene at the end, near the end, I should say, when every horror fan probably just started squeeing with glee, just because it is a smorgasbord of horror movie tropes all crammed into one scene. Like
Yes.
everything comes together, almost every monster you can possibly imagine.
It is very satisfying.
It is so much
in
fun.
like a boyish sort of stupid way.
But also, if you're watching it on ClearPlay, it jumped over most of it, and so I actually went back and like turned off the filter. I'm like,
As you
"I wanna
should."
see that part because I knew it was.
It's almost like a Kill Bill experience with the Crazy 88s where there's
Yeah.
so much blood, it's cartoonish.
and it was. It's completely
Yeah.
cartoonish and over the top, and that's what makes it funny. It's done almost for laughs, even though it's horrific.
I almost mentioned a few of the parts because they're so good.
Well, there's a lot of laughs, so the tone in there it's not very serious. So you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I know what's going on right now.
Yeah, but then I have to admit, the first time I saw this movie, the ending did not please me. The last part of it, I was like, I don't like the way that ended.
I don't, actually.
Well, the more I've thought about it, I'm okay with it. I'm not saying it's a good ending. I'm saying, you know what? For what this movie is trying to be,
Yeah.
it works. But
Okay.
I wish they would have gone somewhere else different. But yeah, Cabin in the Woods.
so good.
Are we to our top 3?
And now for our final 3.
For the final 3 best horror movies of the last decade from 2010 to 2019.
This is big.
This is big. This is big. And that's why my number 3,
I'm worried.
Piranha 3 Double D.
That sounds familiar. Actually,
No, it's not.
3D is actually far superior.
Yeah,
the
3D.
first movie in the series was really quite good.
We're not talking about Piranha, though.
Oh, we're not?
No.
Oh,
Gotta
this
get
sounds
that.
like one of Ken's
I was
choices.
lying.
Jerry O'Connell's in that movie.
No. My number 3 is actually 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Huh.
So this was one. It's a huh?
He's wondering if it counts. Is that
No,
what you're
it
wondering?
counts because based on some of the movies I've chosen, it counts.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
If
I
Green
don't always
Room
think of this
counts-
as a horror.
Well,
horror's like a sci-fi
Horror's like an
thriller.
umbrella term, and this is like the subgenres.
Okay.
And this was one where I thought Cloverfield was okay. I wasn't.
I really like it.
I wasn't overwhelmed. I didn't love it. So then when I saw they were
like
doing
both.
a sequel called 10 Cloverfield Lane, I was like, well,
Announced 2 months before it came out.
Yeah.
The trailer came out 2 months before this movie came out.
And I remember the
Which is
trailer.
cool.
Yeah.
The trailer, I was like,
I like that
this
they
looks
screw around with
good.
stuff.
And so, synopsis of 10 Cloverfield Lane. After getting in a car accident, a woman is held in a shelter with 2 men who claim the outside world is affected by a widespread chemical attack. And this is starring Mary Elizabeth Winstead, John Goodman, and John Gallagher Jr. And that's basically it.
Man, this movie's effective.
So
I
this,
was elements of Hitchcock,
yeah.
Oh, it's very
which is
Hitchcock.
overused, obviously, but
Yeah.
still.
Yeah.
But the best thing is, this keeps you guessing. Like John Goodman is so good in this movie because you
Well, he
don't
carries
know.
the movie, yeah.
You don't know if there has been an attack or if he's just keeping her hostage and messing with her.
Yes.
and you just keep going back and forth the whole time. And then
Mary Elizabeth
Mary
Winstead.
Elizabeth Winstead, that's her name. She is just the greatest protagonist because you feel like you're her. You're caught up in her emotions as you go through this. And you're so trying to figure out what's going on the whole time. I love it. And even the ending, as it progresses, like it builds to this amazing climax. And there's an ending that you kind of like makes you scratch your head a little bit. But
Almost like they didn't need to go there.
no, but I'm okay that they did. As this movie has aged, I've become more and more okay with it. By the way, do you know Damien Chazelle was going to direct this movie?
What?
Yeah, but then he dropped out because he got his funding for Whiplash. But
Because he got funding for Whiplash?
yeah, basically the funding came through for Whiplash.
I think everything worked out because Dan Trachtenberg, who directed this one,
Yeah, his
great
directorial
director.
debut.
Yeah.
This was his first movie, and like you said, this originally started as its own little
It was its own
suspense movie.
Yeah, and then they said, "Oh, we can tie this into Cloverfield franchise."
which is unnecessary to tie it into that franchise, but it's okay to tie it in.
Well,
Yes.
I like it's a loose tie. It's not
It
like
is.
it's an immediate sequel. It's just shared universe,
I
which
think,
is interesting.
J.J. Abrams, who was involved with this, said it was a spiritual sequel, meaning it just
Yeah,
happens in the same universe, which I'm okay with sequels like that.
Yeah.
So 10 Cloverfield Lane kept me guessing the whole time. Intensity level medium. Like this is, unless the thing is, some people get scared by real life situations. This is very real life for a lot of the movie.
Yes.
This could scare some people.
Because you get the hopeless feeling,
you
feeling
do.
more than anything, and then what is happening?
Yeah.
Is he right? Is he wrong?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so this is one where I think I might almost call this a gateway horror movie because it is this kind of weird suspenseful movie that has this weird
Your
kind of
kids will love it.
uplifting middle.
No,
but-
come on. That is
It's too weak for them.
This is mild for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, 10 Cloverfield Lane is my number 3.
Okay. My number 3, we've already talked about it, is Cabin in the Woods. This thing is
I thought it was going to be too popular for you.
No, man, it's a friggin' masterpiece.
We got pretty close on that.
Yeah. I almost read it with you, but instead of number 4, it's my number 3.
Okay.
You've already given every detail, but for me, the scene I was most gleeful in wasn't the end when it got really bloody. It was when they were in the artifact room.
Oh, in
Yeah,
the
yeah, that
basement.
was good.
The basement is so great because you're looking around the room, and I almost just want to pause it every time and say, okay, so there's the box, there's a music chest,
They're in a
book.
room. They're in a room about to pick what kind of terror is going to befall them.
Yes.
and you can tell by looking at the
And
artifacts.
and they're using artifacts, facsimiles of artifacts from other
Yeah.
horror films we've seen, and based on what they choose, that will be their destruction.
Yeah.
I think that's the only spoiler I want to give there. And you're like, oh no, choose that one. Oh, you were so close. And honestly, I was kind of disappointed with what they chose based on how it played out. This is something I wish there was almost a alternate versions of the movie
So you
because
could
I would
see
like to
what
see
they chose. Yeah, that'd
what
be
they
cool.
chose and being
Just like a
isolated
video game about
incidents that
like
way.
a near dark kind of video game of that.
I would totally be down with that.
That'd be fun.
But yeah, and honestly, this is kind of a bad movie hiding under great commentary because it is a cheesy Cabin in the Woods movie.
It is.
But the commentary around it and actually being explained to us when you see the movie, you'll understand, and showing other horror tropes as well from like Korea, from China,
Yeah.
from Japan,
Yeah.
from Europe. It's so much fun to watch.
It is.
Yeah,
Oh man, I love this movie so much.
Yeah.
Cabin in the Woods. My number 2 is from 2013,
we're ready.
The Conjuring.
Oh,
Paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren work to help a family terrorized by a dark presence in their farmhouse. Directed by James Wan, who did Saw, Insidious, Dead Silence.
Not just did Saw, he created the Saw franchise.
That movie launched him. I mean, without that idea, who knows where he'd be? Still in Australia making small films.
Yeah.
But it launched him and became its own separate monster. But that first movie is kind of really smart.
Right.
And then Insidious, which I would say Conjuring kind of borrowed the tone of, but really went serious with it.
Which came first, Insidious or Conjuring?
Insidious.
That was Conjuring.
Now I got to look it up. Sorry, I just wondered about that.
Yeah, look it up. This one stars Patrick Wilson, who also stars in Insidious, and Vera Farmiga. Both great roles.
Ooh, Insidious was 2010.
Okay. Yeah, so yeah, it preceded this movie by a couple of years. And Patrick Wilson, Vera Farmiga, they are kind of the tie that binds. And granted, I even hate to mention that because of what's become of the Conjuring universe, the darkest chapter in the Conjuring universe. Like they keep going through that, and they're watering the brand down. But the mythology of a haunted house movie, it's good enough.
Yeah.
But then you bring in these based on real people, ghost investigators, demonologists, if you will.
Yeah.
That's what makes this movie more than.
Yeah.
The scares here are certified. They are actually really scary.
Very scary.
Like even if it's like the clap game.
The hide and clap?
Yeah. Ugh. Or things above a dresser or the basement. The music box. There's so much here. Things you see out of the corner of your eye. It plays on horror tropes that we know, but it does it better. It adds a little something extra.
Well,
to
this
the
is the one
ingredients.
that transitioned from CGI heavy, for horror, right, to practical. Back to practical.
Totally.
A lot of practical
so you see
effects.
it in the trailer, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's not like a computer generated ghost. Like,
Right.
What was that? That looked real.
Yeah, actors actually.
Yeah.
And also the James Wan, he has a specific eye, and like the camera work here.
Seeing he's a Cyclops.
Yes, very specific eye.
Okay.
And the camera work is inventive as far as horror films go. Like there's a scene where one of the younger girls looks under the bed because she hears a sound, and the camera spins as she looks over the bed after that, and it's disconcerting, but you're like, I've never seen that done in any movie. And so what he does is he creates a whole new vision.
Except Aquaman.
While feeling, well, he does that after, but while feeling like a 70s movie.
Yeah.
So, oh man, this one is absolutely great.
And terrifying.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
So that is my number 2.
Okay.
Conjuring.
My number 2 is Season of the Witch, starring Nicolas Cage.
I knew it. I knew if you gave it a week, you'd love it.
I love it now.
No, Kent, my number 2 is The Conjuring.
Of course it is.
We matched.
Hold on.
Finger boop.
Boop. And we need a high five
Finger
because you
boop.
went for the high five. Finger
All right.
boop and a high five.
So that's because
We're
I was so
winners
happy about
today.
this.
Double
Kent,
victory.
Not since The Ring have I encountered terror that I encountered in The Conjuring.
Yeah.
Like
It only took you 11 years.
It did. Because the thing is, I watch a lot of horror movies, and so I'm like, yeah, this is scary, but it doesn't really stick with me. This one haunted.
It's because you haven't seen The Witch.
But this one is like, I saw The Witch, man.
Unedited.
Well, yeah, but it's basically the same movie, Jacob.
Yeah.
It's different.
That's
This
not
one,
what Ken says.
Yeah.
this one is accessible but terrifying like The Ring. It does have
Yeah.
that
Oh,
feel.
Yes.
It is very
this one,
accessible,
but here's,
yeah.
here's the thing, though. This one is rated R, but there's no sex, there is no nudity,
Right.
there's no F words.
So did Ken fall asleep?
There's
Yeah,
one,
dang it.
Yeah. there's one S word, I think, and there's very little violence.
Then why is it rated R?
Because of child peril. Children are in danger, and so the MPAA says this is rated R automatically.
Yeah.
Because I actually had my default filters on, and then my movie kept playing, and I'm like, I'm not seeing any skips, and there's no mutes. Like, what's going on
You're
here?
like, what kind of child peril do you want to see? Light, medium, or extreme?
No, the Motion Picture Association hates it when children are in mortal danger.
Yes.
And because, well, obviously it's very intense for people to see, so they want to bump that up. But this is like, I don't know, this was such a clean horror movie that I was surprised by how clean it was.
Yeah.
But this is so scary. Like, once again, just like the Innkeepers, there's parts where the jump scare, quote unquote, happens, and then it lingers on it, and you
Yes.
get like the full body chills, like goosebumps all over the place, and it's terrifying. But the reason I think this movie works is because, like you said, you have Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga playing Ed and Lorraine Warren, and it's like they make you feel safe.
They do, and that's just it.
Even when terrifying things are happening. Like, it's like going into a haunted house and holding like your parents' hand back in the day where you're like, I'm going to be okay because they're here, even though you're scared. Same with this one. They have this moral center of Ed and Lorraine Warren that make you feel like I'm going to be okay even though the world is falling apart around me. And that's why I think this movie impressed me so much, because there was that hopelessness, but then there was the hope. You can still see the light at the end of the tunnel.
And even the layers here, and granted, it was diluted later, but starting the movie with Annabelle's eye.
Yeah.
And kind of panning out, and then these scared people telling the Warrens about their story with Annabelle.
Yeah.
Granted, it's not the same doll, obviously, but it's so effective. And it has nothing to do with the rest of the movie except for one scary scene.
Yeah. And it's scary.
That's a good psychological analysis, Joel, honestly.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I thought about this a lot.
Yeah.
What do you think about The Conjuring 2, by the way? Because I would put it almost on the same level, to be honest, but I didn't want to put two Conjuring movies
It's
in
a
my
half
top 10.
grade below, but it's still quite good.
The Conjuring 2 has some really good moments.
I think by the end it becomes an action movie a little bit, which ruins it.
Yes, but like the Bill Wilkins stuff and all that,
Yeah,
I really enjoyed that.
quite creepy.
The Crooked Man was also very creepy.
Yeah, a little more CG, unfortunately,
But at
even
the
though
same
it
time-
wasn't,
But at the
apparently.
same time, that was one of those scenes that kept going, and I'm like, the fear should end now. How come it's not ending? But The Conjuring 2 is one where I read the story behind it, the true story, much less frightening, and so it kind of less
far
the movie.
less.
Like
There was no basement.
They play up The Conjuring 2 as like this, these girls are being attacked and possessed, and there's something. There's
Is it
presence
the
in the house.
mom? Okay, never mind. I'm
But
not
then,
gonna ask
but then
questions.
in the real
Spoilers.
story, I looked at the pictures because they had the real life pictures of The Conjuring 2. And I looked at it, I'm like, well, that's not even real. Like it was kind of just all faked. But man.
Well,
I mean,
scary
well,
movies.
it's like they're making a movie. Yeah.
based on a true story. Like
Yeah.
3%.
So Kent, before we jump to our number one, do you want to give your honorable mentions?
I do. I have quite a few, so I'll go through them really quick. Get Out, A Quiet Place, Let Me In, Scream 4, surprising, I know.
Wow.
The Ritual, which is on Netflix.
Scream 4 came out when?
2011.
How did Quiet
By the way,
Place not make your top 10?
It was like right there, and I was like, I love you, but I'm gonna hold you back.
All right.
The Ritual on Netflix, Evil Dead, Paranormal Activity 3, which came out at the beginning of the decade.
3? You're giving 3 an honorable mention?
Dude, I think 3 rocks. It's the 1980s one.
Yeah,
I think it
I remember
rocks.
which one that is.
It's actually the scariest for me.
Really?
Yeah, based on what they pull off, so good. The Last Exorcism,
Okay.
The Visit, Insidious, Babadook, and The Autopsy of Jane Doe. All of these I would recommend.
I also
wow.
have a bunch that I would like to
Okay,
run through
go
quick.
ahead.
So from 2010, I picked Insidious, The Crazies, Devil, and The Wolfman, actually.
The Wolfman.
The remake with Benicio del Toro. Surprisingly good. Like, I was not expecting much. And maybe my expectations were really low, but I ended up being like,
I think I
fine.
expected better, and it let me down.
Yeah. From 2013, World War Z and Warm Bodies. I was like, yeah, fun for the zombie genre. 2014, Babadook. The Babadook. Babadook. Number 2015, I actually gave Crimson Peak an honorable mention.
Yeah, great movie.
Along with The Final Girls, Krampus, and Goosebumps. 2016, I gave Don't Breathe. There you go.
Nice.
Conjuring 2, I already talked about, and Split. 2017, I gave It and Alien Covenant. Both
Alien
honorable mentions.
Covenant. Interesting choice.
I didn't like.
Really?
I didn't like Prometheus, but I liked Alien Covenant.
Yeah, me too.
It was effective. Yeah.
And then 2018, I gave it to Upgrade. Although calling it a horror movie almost feels like a spoiler kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Because it's weird. And also, I want to talk about some of the bad ones. Like, obviously, I brought up Season of the Witch, Red Riding Hood,
Oh, yeah.
Haunting in Connecticut 2, Ghost of Georgia. The worst
title ever.
The geography is terrible. The Predator, and then Winchester, surprisingly disappointing.
Yeah.
Did you guys see Oculus?
Yes.
Yeah.
I like Oculus quite a bit.
I was like, oh, that's actually pretty good.
I liked it until the end, and then I kind of went, seems like a cop-out. But I liked it until that point. The movie,
I can't remember the ending. I never remember the endings of horror
Oculus,
movies.
it's about a haunted mirror, and it preyed on my fears of not knowing reality from fantasy, like when you start to not know what's real and what's not. And it definitely preyed on that for most of the movie.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm afraid
it's unsettling.
I'm afraid of mirrors in the dark.
yeah.
I always walk by and say, Bloody Mary, be gone. I really do. And I'm old.
So, Kent, who's going to give the number one first? I feel like I should,
Okay. Yeah, go for it.
because we've already kind of mentioned it.
I know what it is.
I know it's Midsummer.
It's Boo to a Medea Halloween.
Finally, you see the movie we begged you
I'm
for
going
2
to
years
go
to
throw
watch.
up.
Wait, did you guys choose the same one?
No, we didn't.
Okay, because there is one that you're missing, and I didn't say anything just in case.
Because my number one is actually A Quiet Place.
Yes, and that is why I saved it, because I knew Joel would put this
He
high.
knew I'd go straight forward, right down the middle. But the truth is, we've talked about this episode, or we've talked about this movie on episode 225, episode 193, episode 187. I'm sorry.
Every other week. We're
I'm
sorry.
sorry. It's just, it's a good, it's a well-made movie, and it really did feel unique to me. So once again, the synopsis. In a post-apocalyptic world, a family is forced to live in silence while hiding from monsters with ultra-sensitive hearing. Now, not only is this one a PG-13 horror movie, there's no sex, no nudity, no gory violence, but there's also barely any language, meaning I'm not talking offensive language, I'm talking barely any words.
Yes.
The people that wrote this movie, they were big fans of the silent era, and I appreciate that because I'm a fan of silent film. And so seeing it play out the way they did in a family drama that just happens to have aliens involved was so thrilling to me. It was so intense. Like I had white knuckles going on, like as I was gripping my seat, and like parts where I was not breathing. I didn't want to make a noise. Like I was caught up in this movie. So yes.
Would you recommend people, because obviously they're watching it at home in their home theater, hopefully a big enough screen and it's like great scary sound.
Not watching on their phone, with their headphones on while driving.
No, please no. Would you recommend this as like a party movie or just a solo experience? Because I feel like there's both. Like I actually like some scary movies by myself, so I can feel creeped out and I can control the environment, meaning no one opening candy wrappers, eating popcorn or whatever.
Yeah. It's hard to say because if you get the right crowd, this is going to be super effective. But one bad egg in that crowd, one heckler.
Stop being friends with bad eggs, okay?
Yeah.
But that's going to ruin it. Like I watched this, just me and my wife, and it was awesome just to watch this movie together because it's a story of a husband and wife trying to protect their family, and me and my wife are like just holding each other, just being like,
let's go hug our kids.
Yeah. Oh, I did after I gave
my
kids hugs. But this one was actually going to be kind of tied into the Cloverfield franchise, but they decided to keep it separate, and I'm very glad
Thank
they
goodness.
did. They are doing a sequel, which I'm kind of worried about because this was one of those movies that I went...
This is shared universe sequel, though, not direct, right?
I don't know.
No, Emily Blunt is in this movie.
Yeah. But she could be coming in and just kind of passing off her knowledge and moving on.
She's got the shotgun. She's ready to go.
Yeah. But I think that this is one movie that even if you're not a horror... You gave this as a gateway horror movie.
Yeah.
Because even if you're not a horror fan, this, like I said, it's a family drama that just happens to have... Instead of protecting your family from evil influences... It's protecting your family from literal evil. Well, not evil even, just monsters, creatures, animals. So, yeah.
The danger outside.
I wanted to go first because we were talking about it so much.
Okay.
It's A Quiet Place. We've given it so much love this season, and I apologize, but I like it.
I've never talked about my number one before.
Lies.
For a couple weeks. It's Hereditary from 2018.
Now, wait. You didn't even give Midsummer a honorable mention.
Oh, I should. But Midsummer... And I know we say this a lot on this show. It's almost not horror.
Because I was debating.
Because it's unsettling.
I was trying to guess what your number one was, and I was like, it's got to be one of those two.
Midsummer gave me a nervous stomach ache.
Okay.
This one chilled me to my very bones. Yes, Hereditary. This one, I'll never be able to forget. Midsummer, there are parts I'd rather forget about.
Okay.
Hereditary won't let me. So... A grieving family is haunted by tragic and disturbing occurrences. That's all you get in the synopsis.
That's a little light.
Super vague.
But if you pull it apart, they say a grieving family. This movie is about grief for most of it. Someone died. Let's go to their funeral. Things are weird. Okay, well, let's just deal.
Filmed in Utah.
Maybe someone else dies. Yeah, and they actually chose Utah because they say the mountains are like ominous and foreboding. Really? And it also feels peaceful.
Oh. Okay.
It's basically like your Conjuring review.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie, it feels like an indie movie. So Toni Collette, Gabriel Byrne in this movie, Millie Shapiro, and Alex Wolff. Fantastic cast. And sometimes for the wrong reasons. Like Millie Shapiro is terrifying looking. And I'm going to say that not to judge her because they purposely
She's a little
do
girl,
that.
Kent.
No, but they make her this character that you're going... I've seen this movie before. Mm-hmm. I know what to expect. And the movie goes, oh, yeah? Have you seen this movie before? Mm-hmm. You haven't. And then the movie slows down, even after some of the craziest scenes that you may see in a horror movie that, once again, you'll never forget about. The acting by itself, even not seeing someone scream, it still haunts me to my core. And then, of course, it is one of these, like I've explained, the slow burn where the last 10 minutes you're going, what happened? Why do we go from 0 to 100 all of a sudden?
Right.
And Joel, you have yet to see this one.
So this is one
I'm waiting for the right environment, honestly.
Well, you and Emily both once again warned me to not watch this one.
I like it. We're like trying to protect you.
Yeah.
And they were like, just watch it.
But then, you know this, Kent. I was at a car repair shop. And I was bored, and I thought, and my wife actually said, she's like, I don't want you to watch that movie in this house. Like she read something that turned her really off to it. Mm-hmm. So then I was in the car dealership, not dealership, a repair shop, and I'm sitting there just waiting in the shop, and I was like, I'm bored. I'm going to look up the synopsis. So I read the synopsis of Hereditary,
the whole movie synopsis,
movie synopsis, and I have to admit, Kent, that there were a couple jaw-dropping moments,
even reading
the synopsis, and I was like, oh my gosh, what? Why
why would that happen? And then I got surprised by that parts, and then other parts, like it was affecting me, even though I was just reading the words. And I was like, I don't understand this. I have to look up a clip. So I looked up a clip of a couple parts. And once again, no, here's the thing. It was effective even in those 2 to 3 minute clips that I was watching.
Wow.
Like I watched 2 or 3 clips just to figure out what it meant.
What episode was it? We were talking about this not too long ago.
On Hereditary?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
But it just kind of rears its ugly head.
It does.
now
It
and
does.
then.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, same with Quiet Place, right? I mean, these are movies you guys love, so
Apparently.
they have to circle back.
But even then, I was going to say it was effective, and I was impressed. Even in those short clips, I was impressed with the acting, specifically the acting, and just the unique tone that the movie had.
Yes.
Not to say I ever want to watch it in its entirety, because I felt icky for like the whole day.
the descriptions I've read didn't seem icky. It just felt kind of like uncomfortable.
You'll
or
feel
something.
icky.
Yeah?
I saw this one twice, and once again, the second time I said, I regret this choice. But I still did it.
But it's your number one.
Yeah.
Sorry, kids. You got to sit here and watch it.
Girls, we're turning this one off too. I'm sorry.
Well, we watched the special features after watching
Oh,
the
yeah,
movie.
yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
But like, you're never sure in this movie, and like, spoiler aside, you're not sure if it's psychological horror, creeper horror, or supernatural horror. Like, you're going, where are you going with this? Because there's so many different avenues that it's taking you. Because it's about human suffering outside of the horror. And you're like, watching this family go through this is hard to watch, and it feels like I shouldn't be watching it. And they have this motif where you see mini homes, like little figurines, dollhouses essentially, that Toni Collette's character creates. And the movie starts that way. You're looking into the home as if it's a dollhouse, and it becomes real. And you're going, I shouldn't be watching this. I feel like I'm a voyeur in a horrifying experience, and now it affects you as the viewer. And just like, the scares are so emotionally justified. It's absolutely horrific. This one jarred me more than anything I've seen this past decade. And boy, it's a horror masterpiece, and it's a one-time watch. We covered, especially with honorable mentions and whatnot, like we covered the gamut of the past decade. And like you were saying, Joel, you thought that this decade would be like, yeah, there are 5 good ones from the last decade. There's so much in the past 10 years.
I was surprised.
How well do you think it compares to the decade before?
Honestly,
that's another show, Jacob.
early 2000s, maybe we'll do another show about it, is amazing, especially with the J horror elements.
Yes.
That did become diluted, but at the same time, it's a pretty fair fight.
I'd be happy. Let us know if you want us to do this again. Like these types of shows where we do the decade countdown. Now, and also let us know if there's any. I mean, I think we ran basically every horror movie thing, but if we missed your favorite or didn't give it enough love, let us know. Let us know on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram where we are, and we appreciate your feedback. We really do.
Yeah. And you'll have a nice countdown list, listener, so that you can go. I mean, you'll have to hurry.
Yeah.
But this
Guys.
week, listen.
Guys, this is the last episode of Halloween.
We've had a good time.
A great time, a horrific time, if you will.
And we're going to have another good time, next season. We just have to prepare and get our stuff ready.
It's a
for
whole
then.
year away, though.
It'll come, Kent.
I want to watch more scary movies and be ruined inside.
It's time for Thanksgiving.
Okay,
Or
I'm grateful for that.
10 best Thanksgiving movies, am I right?
I can think of one.
I got 2. Pieces of April and...
It'll be a short show.
Day in real life.
No. Oh, that's another one.
Yeah.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll get into that. I think Emily did a whole post about that. But before we go, we want to give some love to our patrons. Specifically, we want to give love to the I'm the Listener tier, including Infendio Radio Steve Peacock, Braden Winterton, Spencer Larson, The Listener, Crew Dutler, Terry Findlay, A More Civilized Podcast, Stephen Ross, and Adrian Gray, Listener Emeritus.
So great.
We also want to give love to our Bacon Council, including Mott Smudro, Ryan Farron, Chris Anderson, and Nicole D. Hill. Thank you for being patrons, and honestly, thank you so much for your support. We really do appreciate it. But if you want to find me, you can find me at 76Joel on Twitter, because I am not suspended anymore. Or you can find
Welcome back, by
Thank
the
you.
way.
Yeah. How was it? Are you enjoying that?
I don't get on as much anymore. They kind of broke
out of the habit
They kind
now.
of broke my habit. Or you can find me performing with Quick Bits. They perform every Saturday night at the Midvale Performing Arts Center, including November 16th on Quick Wits.
We're all going to be there.
We will.
For more details, go to qwcomedy.com or go to the Quick Wits Facebook page.
If you want to find me on Twitter or Instagram, it's at Kenny3DD. If you want to read my movie reviews, you can find it at ShowtimeShowdown.com.
You can find me on Twitter at Jacob A. Rogers and Baconsale on Twitter and on Instagram at Baconsale. You can find our merchandise store, tpublic.com/Baconsale. And as Joel just thanked our Patreons, you can come and be a patron to support us as well. We really, really do appreciate you. Patreon.com/Baconsale.
So until next time, Girls, we got to turn off this podcast.
Let's get this started. Exciting. Are we going to count how many kissograms you were sent this week?
If you learned anything from Baconsale this year, let that be it.
I am sound. I am thunder.
Ave sound.
Ave sound. Ave sound. Decade dance.
Decade dance.
Decade dance.
Scary decade dance.
Horror edition.
Decade dance.
If this is
One more
going to
time.
be
Decade dance.
There's some blood and guts
Yes,
that will
there
really
is.
thrill you. Decade dance. Decade dance. I love it. Decade dance.
I can't remember how I did it now. Decade dance. It was higher than that? That was pretty high. Decade dance. You haven't been to places I've been to, Joel.
Why are you wearing a fedora and not a shirt? It's just weird.
You're speaking to my heart right now, Joel.
That's why he doesn't even treat his athlete's foot. He loves the slow burn.
the slow burn. And
Or a
there's-
weird nudity from Kim.
Let's play hide and seek.
Nobody wants Jared Leto in the room.
No. My white guilt has got me.
Imogen Poots.
I love Imogen Poots.
You just like saying Imogen Poots.
Famke Jensen and Imogen Poots are like my favorite names to say.
Can you say those over and over again? Three times?
Franca Potente, Famke Jensen, Imogen Poots.
Wait, so she was a blonde in The Vidge, right?
Yes.
And then, but she's a brunette in Split.
You know, women can dye their hair, Jacob. I think you've both been possessed by Satan.
Weird is the word.
Weird. Please bless your soul, though. Every other week.
Well, you're not going to bring it up again, are you?
It's not that one.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Joel got real worried.
Yeah,
we brought
I
this
did.
up on the show before. This one is from 2010, so right at the beginning of the decade. It's I Saw the Devil.
That's the one I didn't want you to bring up.
Oh, I can bring up dumplings.
No, don't bring up dumplings.
I thought it was dumplings.
No.
Secret Agent Man.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Kent.
Let me tell you about I Saw the Devil.
Kent Graphic Detail, as I call it. I would turn them into the police so fast and follow due process.
If you've got a Kent heart, and by that I mean this cold chest cavity, which I think has kind of grown a little bit of a heart.
Yeah.
I'm really good.
We're turning this off, girls.
Finger
All right.
boop and a high five. What kind of child peril do you want to see?
The fear should end now. How come it's not ending?
I love you, but I'm going to hold you back.
I felt icky for like the whole day.
Said I regret this choice. But I still did it.
But it's your number one.
Yeah.
Sorry, kid. You got to sit here and watch it.
Girls, we're turning this one off too. I'm sorry. I think it was
It's
higher.
a perfect jingle.
Vacation from
Come around, talk it over. So many things that I want to say. You know I like my Joel a little bit. What? Stronger.
What?